never.
Hello and welcome to a coffee and a chat with my spiritual friends. Today my guest is Suzanne, who is a psychic medium, an animal communicator and a Reiki practitioner. Not only does Suzanne work the platforms around the spiritual community, she is also a psychic medium that has performed on stage with her own show, and she's also taken animal communication workshops. Hello Suzanne, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Bev. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Now, the first question I do want to ask you is, could you tell us all about your spiritual journey, where it started and your progress along to where you are now, please?
Okay, so as a young child growing up, I was one of those kids that had an imaginary friend. I grew up in a house full of boys, so luckily for me, one of my guides is a female, so it was kind of like I still had a girl to talk to in the middle of the night when you're supposed to be sleeping.
Yeah.
Both sides of my family are Catholic, so it wasn't an acceptable thing to be saying to another family member, look, you know, I can see dead people, and what does it mean when that curtain comes in? My youngest memory is as a young child waking mum up in the morning or in the middle of the night it was actually, and saying to her, why is Nana in my room? And she's waving goodbye. Where's Nana going? Because Nana was in rest home. And my mother saying, oh, don't be so silly, Suzanne, you need to just, you know, go and hop into bed. And back in those days, then, of course, the phone rings, and it was to say that my grandmother had passed over. So one of the things I've noticed is that the more I go on my spiritual journey, the earlier memories that come through that kind of give you that confirmation of, you know, the gift that you already had at birth, that as you grow up, you don't block it off, but you just choose not to listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like with me, I learned from quite an early age to just be really careful about what I said to people. So like I'd go, do you really think that that person would like you to be doing that now? Or do you think they would feel that, you know, you weren't doing a good job? Because if I'd said to them, oh, look, you know, your granddad's probably not going to be happy about that, then I became the freak.
Yeah.
I found out years later with some cousins of mine when we were growing up, they never used to play with me. And so as an adult, I said to them, well, you know, what was the reason that you guys, you know, you ostracized me? You know, was I just not good enough? What was the story? And they actually said, we thought you were a witch because every time you came to see us, you would say something and then it would happen. So we're actually scared of you. But for me, because they never said anything, I just thought it wasn't good enough. So, and I want to say to lots of people that are on those spiritual journeys, especially when they're younger and they're experiencing this, it's really quite sad that you can look back and go, that kind of created the person that I became as a young one, because it was like, I'm not quite good enough. My family don't really want to talk to me, then there's obviously something wrong. Whereas had they said what they'd said back then, I think I would have dealt with it in a slightly better way. Admittedly, coming from a Catholic family, I would spend a lot more time praying. I was lucky in some ways as far as the Catholic Church was concerned. The we had that we were going to was actually quite forward thinking for someone of his faith.
Yeah.
One of the memories in one of the conversations I had with him, and he asked me, did I believe in God? And I said, I don't believe in God. I got shown as a little one, a big fluffy white cloud. And as someone's born, a little piece comes down, goes into the soul of the baby, and the baby grows up and passes away. That little piece goes back into the one cloud. So when people used to say things like, we're all connected, I totally got that, because that's what they showed me. You know, they showed me we're all one. So I totally got that. Another time with the priest, I said to him about, look, I'd really like to know who are the people that are standing behind you when you were doing your talking in the pulpit, because they never come and have the cups of teas and the you know, and the biscuits and stuff with all the rest of us.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, well, there's no one there. I said, well, there are, because they're all standing behind you. And he just said, oh, I'm going to pray for you, Suzanne. And kind of that was it. And I needed to pray more. In hindsight, I know that the Spirit.
Yeah.
And I still do. And the thing is, even as a spiritual person, I still like going to church. I don't care what denomination church it is. I love feeling and seeing the spirits there. And I've found, there are lots of spirits that when you go to any kind of church, you walk past it, you can feel the souls and the spirits that need it. They're attracting you, and they're showing you, hey, look, we want to move on now. And so I think for me as a light worker, that's one of my little jobs is, if I'm going through, going past the cemetery, even if I'm in the car, you can hear them saying, oh, look, I don't want to be here anymore. So I think that's part of our
thing.
So for me, I never realised that what I had was classed as psychic mediumship or mediumship. It wasn't until I had a marriage breakup. I moved from one island in New Zealand. We've got 2 main islands, and I moved from the North Island to the South Island. And that's when I started to really embrace and trust in my spiritual journey and trust that, okay, that person that's always spoken to me all my life, they're a guide.
Yeah.
I used to do tarot card readings just for friends and stuff when I was on my own. And I never used to turn the card over. So I'd go past, present, and future. I'd get in the shuffle deck first. And then I was reading the messages off the back of the card, and then they'd be wanting to see what it was, and I've already shoved it back in the back. So fast forward, I met my partner, moved back to the North Island, and went with a work colleague to the spiritual centre, and I'd never been before because I'd heard about them, but I thought, it's probably some kind of cult, it's a cult or something. Because even in New Zealand, they don't advertise and say, well, this is for like-minded people that want to further, look into what's the story with hearing spirits, seeing spirits, smelling.
Life after death.
Yeah, they don't promote it as what it is unless you know someone who knows it.
Or you get to know a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't actually, you just automatically can make those assumptions. So I went off there. The medium that was on platform at the time said to me, why aren't you up here doing what I'm doing? And I'm thinking, whatever. I had been told in the past, like I'm a healer and stuff, and you just think, I don't know what a healer was back then, so I don't know. Until I'd gone to the spiritual centre, I didn't even know what a medium was, because I'd only ever been to tarot card readers. I didn't really know what a medium was. And so I didn't know that what I was doing was mediumship.
Yeah.
It was a bit weird and a bit odd, and I see things, and that's all I thought. I didn't think it was actually a thing. Yeah. So I went off and did a tarot card reading for this medium, and because the way I did it was the same as I did with everyone, and he said, look, Suzanne, what it is you're actually reading the energy that I've put into the cards, and that's why you're not needing the cards. The cards are a tool. And it's more for me, for my confidence. So he said, you probably don't even need the cards. I'm like, okay. So then he said to me, but if you're feeling nervous, put a crystal in your hand, because then you can rub it. And so for many years going on platform, I would use a crystal. And it was more to occupy my conscious mind while I was connecting. I don't use a crystal anymore now, because in those early days, it's like one thing to sit there and do a reading for someone one-on-one, but then when you're standing on a platform and you're talking to 30-odd people, it's like, oh my God, I need something. And even now,
it's the nerves. It is nervy.
Yeah, it is. It's nerve-wracking, because you just think, maybe today's the day that spirit's going to go, well, we're not going to help today. You're on your own. And so I'm constantly doing that thing of having to remind myself who do I trust, and who I trust is my spiritual guides. I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for them.
Yeah. Now, with you doing your journey, development groups, how do you feel about development groups? How would you say to somebody, right, you're new to this, you want to take part in it, how would you tell somebody to progress?
One of the things is I think and this is my own personal opinion, and there'll be a million and one people that go, oh, what a load of rubbish, or no, she's right, or no, she's wrong, and that's okay. One of the things I would say is I did go and join a spiritual development group. When I was with this friend of mine, I thought, oh, well, I'll give it a go. And what they were doing was they were actually doing healing. So I thought, oh, no, been told for years I'm a healer. So I'll go off and see what it's all about. Well, after the first day that we did this healing, the medium that ran the circle turned around and said, well, actually, everyone here is a clairvoyant. These are all mediums. So we're going to focus more on clairvoyance than we are the healing, because most of you, that's what you're doing. So we progressed onto that, and that group was wonderful. And I was getting lots and lots of encouragement. The lady that ran it was brilliant. Like, you went off, you'd learned something new.
Yeah.
And then when you went back to the circle a week later, she'd say, how was it? Was there anything different? Was there anything interesting? And we'd talk about it. And then after a while, it was like, oh, I kind of don't really need to be here anymore, because I was already getting messages. I kind of needed to go there to confirm what I'd always had. But being a human, I had doubt. So it was like, okay. So then I went off and I got invited to join a different circle with a different meeting. So I thought, oh, yeah, I'll give that a go. Worst mistake of my life. I'm a really loyal person, so I didn't just go once.
You went back repeatedly.
I went like for about 8 months. It was what it was supposed to be like just a meditation group, and it was run through a centre. And so I went, and the first one I went to, my guides were already saying, oh, why are you going there? I live rurally, and there wasn't anyone around that I could go and do a meditation with other than just me. So I thought, oh, it'd be a great opportunity, and it's interesting, meet some more new people. So it was a different town from where I live. And we did the first meditation, and then they come out and they ask you about your experiences, and I'm going, well, my guides showed me this, and they said this at the next thing, and they went, no, you're all wrong. So with that, that was what made me get up and leave, because the one thing I can say, and I'm only talking on my own experience, there is no right and wrong when it comes to spiritual development.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
None at all. If my thing to say, it would be to say to anybody that's going to go and join a circle, the second you walk in there and they say you're doing something wrong, you shouldn't meditate that way, you shouldn't talk like that, you shouldn't see this, get up and go and find someone else.
Yeah.
Don't stay with that group, because I know lots of healers, I know lots of mediums, and no one does it identical to the next person.
No, we've each got our own individual way, because we are individuals.
Exactly. And so why would you have that expectation that if I'm going to channel, you've got to channel this way and you have to do it that way? Now, with me, I've done channeling. And for me, I stumbled onto channeling.
It was the way mine came around.
Yeah, it was just like, it was, hello, what a surprise. And I know when I'm channeling, because I get a completely different physical reaction. Like, I went to do a reading for a really good friend of mine, and I just started channeling in a garage and didn't realise. And then when we finished the reading, and she went, you've channeled. And I went, what? No. And she went, your face changed, your tone changed. And then she said to me, did you notice any physical response? I said, I did notice that. Usually when I'm talking to spirit, the palms of my hands will warm up.
Yeah.
But with channeling, the very tips of my fingers started to tingle. And she said, the whole time I'm channeling, I'm going like this. Yeah. So and like to me, that's how I know now, okay, they're wanting to come through. I've total trust in my guides that they're only allowing something of pure love and the highest intention to come through. Having said that, I have had the odd not so pleasant experience with spirits, and to the point where quite a few years ago I had a particularly horrible experience, And so I ended up to that point where I sat down with my guides and I said, look, you know, I trusted you guys to make sure that anything that was coming through or anything that was coming to me needing healing was of pure loving intent. That didn't mean any harm to me. And you allowed this to happen. And so it was to the point where I was like, well, I don't want to do readings anymore. I'm not going to do healing anymore. I just don't want to do anything. And so I had a conversation with my guide. I said, why, when I've trusted you guys to protect me from that, why did you allow this to come through? And they said, not at any time were you actually at any danger. We had to allow that type of energy to come so you could recognize it going forward.
You learn and you grow from the situation.
And so it's from that time now when I still get those types of energies that do come, I'm already sending them to the light without even consciously being recognizing them that, oh, you're from the shadows, you're a low-lying entity. And I do get, like, I've had conversations with other mediums who are going, well, why would you even deal with someone like that? And I said, where do they go to get to the light other than to a light reader?
You've hit a point actually there that it's very true. I mean, I've had it happen myself. Similar situation, very similar. And it's gotten to the point where it's been frightening. And when it's actually happened, I at that time, I didn't have anybody I could turn to and say, what the bloody hell? It kind of happened. Because it was witnessed by somebody who told somebody else, who then told a third party, but they weren't even there.
No.
I was made to feel a complete idiot and told, you've had this one example, you never do that again. And when I said, well, what do I never do? Apparently I fled from the room crying. I didn't. When it was recognised what was happening by another healer, he called somebody else in. He slipped that person in behind me to continue the healing so I could be removed safely. I was then taken outside where what I had seen and experienced, I could talk about by somebody that had been doing this for many, many years.
Yeah.
They could then help cleanse me, bring my chakras back into line, ground me, and spend time where it was just breathing, putting myself back into my body.
Yeah.
So then I could then go back in, finish off the healing session with 2 other people being there. It did all get blown way out of proportion.
Yeah.
I took the verbal good hiding. And I vowed that at the end of this, I was coming home, getting rid of everything. Didn't want to borrow anything in my house.
Yeah.
But I already had another appointment waiting for me the following morning.
As you have, as you do. Yeah.
But that was Spirit's way of giving me the information I needed, because what was waiting for me the following day was a very similar thing, but I was able to handle it, deal with it.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back since. I now know when I need to breathe, step back just a little touch, and then go forward.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is that when we have those experiences, like, we do have to have them periodically.
Yeah.
Purely so that it reminds us that not everything is a fluffy duck. You know, not everything's all love and light. But for me personally, like I said, when I've spoken to other mediums, they've gone, oh no, we don't want you, we just push them away. And it's like, if you're a low-lying energy and a negative entity, if they try and they decide, well, I don't want to be in this realm anymore, I want to move further up and move to another dimension.
It's our hell.
Yeah, why, with a pure loving intention, why would I want to get something that obviously can't go to one of its other energies because it's just going to be drained?
Yeah.
Why would I not send it to the light? And I think the experience that you had, I think, and a little bit the same for me, is it kind of highlights that not every spiritual person that you meet is looking at a whole 100% pure. I mean, I've met mediums that have been doing this outwardly a lot longer than me, that have gone, well, why would you have her on platform? He hasn't gone to a circle for years and years and years and years. She hasn't done this, that, and the next thing. And I've been lucky where I had a couple of really good mentors that went, well, she's coming with me. And they actually had my back. And I can't say that everyone that you meet in the spiritual realm is going to think that way. For me, I'm so conscious of like keeping my vibration up.
Yeah.
That I don't want to have that kind of negative, nasty, bitchy comment, if you like, with someone else, because what it does is it affects my vibration, and this is my spiritual journey. And if they don't like me for whatever reason, then that's okay. But you're right. Sometimes you can get into an environment like a centre.
Yeah, it's unhealthy.
And then they get that, especially if they've been quite cliquey for a long time, then they can kind of get quite, like, it's like we're the bullies, where you're the new girl on the block. It happened because you weren't careful. Well, that's, like I said, for me, I was lucky as far as, like, all my life, even growing up, because, you know, living in a Catholic family, even though we weren't practicing Catholics, you know, talking about anything else was not a done thing. So that even as a little girl, the only people I could talk to were them up there. So I'd lie in bed and go, well, why didn't Nana come into my room? Oh, because she's died now and she's saying goodbye. So everything I've learned right up until I moved back to the North Island has been, my information's come from them, because I didn't know until I moved to the North Island that I was a medium.
When I first met you, you just started your platform journey.
Yeah.
And you took my breath away the very first time that you came in. We all sensed that you were nervous. You'd got your crystal and your palms down, and you're religiously rubbing it. You're walking up and down and sweating, and you would mumble to yourself, then look up, deliver the message. They'd have it. You'd thank them for accepting it, and then your head would be down. You'd be rubbing again.
Yeah.
Given 2 or 3 times, we got to be real good friends.
Yeah.
But watching you grow, and not just serve our centre, but hearing the reviews from people from other centres that you'd actually been to, and then, oh, your friend Suzanne, blah, 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 blah. Oh, your friend Suzanne, blah, 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 blah. And then getting the chance to do stuff with you, like a psychic supper.
Yeah, yeah.
That is another thing altogether. We've done the fairs together. I'm nowhere near at your thing, your level.
You actually are. She is, everyone. She actually is.
But it's nice having somebody that I can actually pick up my phone, and it's not just on the spiritual side of stuff. You've helped me along my road with other stuff. When I've had like a mental breakdown through something that's happened at centre, and I've stomached it, and I thought, well, if I don't outpour this to somebody, it's my hatred will develop towards, because of the way
it corrodes you.
It corrodes you. And when you're getting little drip-drops of, oh, well, you know, you're only this, you're only that, go stand in the corner, go back in your room. No, you can't do this, you can't do that. It does feed and it does eat. But when you've got somebody that stood behind you that has the faith in you, that says, come on, you're going to hold my hand tonight, we're going to go and we're going to do this, and you're going to be on stage with me.
It's really amusing, everybody. Really funny. I've got a weird sense of humour, but it is funny.
But it got us through a whole night.
Yeah.
And by the time I left, I did feel uplifted. I was reassured that, yes, I can actually do this.
But you can. It's just, it's like, I'm forever saying to everybody, you know, anyone on the planet is the hardest thing to learn. I mean, even when I get people to come to me and I'm doing spiritual development for them, the hardest thing to learn is to trust the information that comes through. The amount of people I talk to, or they'll find out I'm a medium, and go, oh, you know, I'm not spiritual at all. And then they go, but my intuition said I needed to go for that job, and I got it, and it's brilliant. And it's like, okay, but you're not spiritual. Okay.
See, I've been told,
because they're not ready.
Yeah.
I believe that you've had the opposite. You've had, and don't get me wrong, for me personally, everyone that goes on platform, you have to have a certain amount of ego to be standing up in front of everybody. But I feel as though with you, what's happened is you've had some mediums around you where it's like, we've taught you a little bit, but now you've caught on to it really quickly, and I'm scared you're going to be better than me, so I'm going to shut you and put you back down in your box. It's like, I've heard people, and I'm talking, you know, different places where they've gone, oh, well, you know, we had a fledgling and we shut her down. And this is, like I said, this is my own personal opinion, but nobody can shut you down. But what you can do is say to someone, oh, look, it's all right, Bev, I'll shut you down. And if you want to believe my bullshit, because it is bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit. And I believe it.
Then you believe it. So then all that is you're just closing your ears to not hear it.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, but I think, you know, even us talking about this, it's like we're not having to go at those people. That's part of their path. They've done it for whatever reason that they might have done it thinking, well, we're doing it for the best. To be honest, I'm not interested in somebody else's opinion on why they do something. But what I will say,
it's up to them. It's part of their journey,
and it's part of your
journey.
It's
up to your journey whether you take that on board, sit and fester and never do it again, or you can think, okay, right, somebody else has shown faith in me. I'm going to listen. I'm going to learn. I'm going to progress. Now, as many of you know, Suzanne is actually a Kiwi and she's not part of the Light and Harmony group, though I have introduced her to the Light and Harmony group and I've shown her all my friends that I've made on there.
And I love it, but where I live, there's
no internet connection with the what-whats.
Yeah.
So, but it's, what would you say has been the most positive part of being on your spiritual journey? What's the most positive thing, the thing that's made your heart sing?
I want to say never being alone. I mean, you know, I've had some stuff go in my life that hasn't been particularly great, but what I will say is the more I go on the spiritual journey, the more I'm finding that if something happens, instead of me focusing on, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this has happened, I'm looking at not just that what am I supposed to learn from this, but I'm also looking at, okay, how do I fix this? So I end up being more focused on a solution rather than the problem itself.
Yeah.
I've also, it's helped me as far as, you know, when things like a close friend or a family member passing over, I think for me, it's like they're only physically lost. The phone line is really clear, so I can always connect with them. Like with my mother, for example, when she died way too young. And I just want to say I do have a weird sense of humour, as you know, Bev.
Yeah.
But it's like with my mum, I spend quite a lot of time these days telling her to shut up because she's always me, oh, Suzanne, you're not wearing it. Oh, I can't believe you said that, Suzanne. And so going on my spiritual journey, it changes the way I look at people that are passing. It changes on people will always come and go in my life. And but I still have that energy, that spiritual connection. I also find it gives me confidence because it's like no matter what happens, I trust that because I do this full time, as you know. I trust that when I need things, they're there. But I will say again, like to everyone, I've had to learn the hard way of if I need things, I've got to remember to ask because they can't interfere with free will. So if I'm going, oh, I need some extra money to cover some unexpected bills, and then I go, well, you know, they're not obviously not even listening. I've been asking them for ages, but I haven't actually asked them. I've thought, oh, I need some more money, but I haven't specifically sat down and said, come on, you guys, look, I need to have.
It's the manifestation of, which is something I forget. I forget big style.
Yeah, well, I'm the same, and it's like even again now and again, and that's what I think is great when you're talking to spiritual people, is that you can go, oh, look, you know, and I've got this, and they go, oh, have you remembered to ask Spirit to help you? Because have you reminded you guys that you live in a material world?
And then you hear them going,
oh, no, of course. And then I tell you, the amount of times when I've looked on Facebook, you know, and you see that little section, they go, your guardian angels going like that. Mine, damn straight. Mine must be a raving alcoholic by now. They're probably thinking, oh, God, and drink. Look what she's done this time.
Then mine come home from work with me and they go, really? you really? Oh, God, when you get home, really? But never mind. Tomorrow's another day, girl. Smile, go to sleep, wake up and breathe.
Yeah, the amount of times I'll do something ridiculous and then I'll just hear this little sigh and it's like, yeah, no. And same thing. Tomorrow's a whole new day.
Yeah. It's stepping back. If a situation does get a lot where you're finding it hard to handle and you don't feel at that particular moment in time that you've got somewhere you can go to discuss or have that advice, step back, breathe, center yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you're feeling calm, then move forward.
Exactly. And I mean, I have that with like some of the people that come to me for spiritual development. Like, I don't run a circle because my life's a little bit over the show, and I like to travel around and do things, so I can't commit to a solid week. So I've also had, like, you know, people that where they've wanted spiritual development, but because of the positions they hold in their careers,
Yeah.
it's not PC to be known to be able to connect with spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So they prefer to keep that. So they come to me as it's a one-to-one private, right? You know, like development. And one of the things that stops a lot of people that I've found is they go, oh, but I don't want to do what you do. I don't want to go on a platform. I want to do a show. And it's almost like I want to get your head and bang it together and go, for God's sake, it's your spiritual journey. Use your gift for you.
Yeah.
You know, healing. Use the gift for healing for your family, your friends,
For
your
yourself.
loved ones, you.
Yeah.
No, there's no right and there's no wrong. No one says just because you go off and like, I want to say, because I kind of don't like the spiritual development word. I want to say, when you get to that point where you trust your connection, there's no right and there's no wrong. There's, you know, it's your journey.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be like in New Zealand, like, you know, Sue Nicholson, where, I mean, she worked her ass off. You know, she's off doing shows all the time. She's doing cards and DVDs and things like that.
Stuff. And their holidays abroad, where she takes people to Egypt and they get to
they go on their own spiritual journeys and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's her thing. Just because you know
she's doing it doesn't mean to say you have to.
And that's why sometimes, you know, I get frustrated, and that's why, and I've had this conversation with you, which is, she's no better than any other person on the planet. She's just more well known because she's out in the public arena. So, and that's what I mean, is it's like when we get to that point where it's like we're all just as good as the Sue Nicholson in the world, or whatever other famous mediums that are out there. Every single person on the planet, and it's you know, and it's like when people go, oh, it's little kids who can't be, but are more open because they're more trusting. They haven't had the conditioning that we've had. Or like in my case, it was, don't be so silly, Suzanne. There's no one in your room. I told you shouldn't have stayed up too late. I told you shouldn't have gone off and gone with your father to see that horror movie, because that's why you've woken up at 3 a.m. with screaming. And I know now as an adult, those were energies that were coming to me. And I didn't know what to do with it. My mother, and it was because of me waking her up about Nana, was one of those things where my mum didn't know what to do, because she was brought up in the Catholic Church, and it was like, oh my God, Satan's kind of tapped into Suzanne. I don't know what to do. There's this kid that's talking about dead people and going, oh, it's okay. I went off to my friend Jan when I was in high school, went off to his funeral. And and Mum's going, oh, you know, how was it? I went, oh no, it was really good, because Jan came and he was walking with me and my mate, and you know, it was all good. And my mum's sitting there looking at me, because it's like, we're at Jan's funeral and we're saying Jan's walking in the path with you, but he was, because we were, you know, we were walking along and he's got his arm around us. And so being on my spiritual journey, even back then, it gave me comfort that I was really close to this guy,
but he was there.
But he was still there, and he was,
it's only the physical body that's not with us. The soul still is. I mean, take George's little friends. They show up here.
Yeah.
And they know George is coming for tea that night, and they'll hang out in what was her bedroom, or one will come and wait by the fridge, and when George walked in the door, hi, and it's you know, the beautiful laughter that goes with it, and I'll go, your friend's here, JJ. Oh, right, George is down. Okay, I know she's down. Oh, go sit in your bedroom, George, your friends are here.
Yeah,
but it is a beautiful way of knowing someone's around, and if you have instinct to another person, or to anybody actually, knowing that your guide or a loved one can drop in and say, "Hey, now come on, pull your head in," and you apologise. Go and apologise.
Yeah. Life's too short, you know.
Mm.
Life's too short, and I mean that's what I found is, I love being on my spiritual journey. Even when you know, I can't say, oh, it's all rainbows and flowers,
No,
because I still have the same human stuff to deal with. Like, you know, I've still got a mortgage, still got a, you know, I've still got expenses.
Still got to put food on the table. There's still clothes to wash, ironing to do, the dogs to walk.
Don't be so ridiculous. We don't iron in our house.
I do.
If it's got to be ironed, leave it at
bugger off.
Iron or go to a dry cleaners. Save yourself some grief. We don't all have to be the Beverleys in the world. But, you know, that's what I found is that.
Yeah, but there again, you see, while I'm doing this chore that many people don't like doing nowadays, to me that is because it's an automatic thing, and I'm at peace, and I can talk to my guides. My guides can come in and talk to me, and there isn't the pressure there.
Yeah.
And messages can be to and from while I'm doing.
So you're saying it's kind of like a working meditation.
Yeah. It's like doing your garden. People say I meditate when I'm in the garden.
Oh, I don't do
the weeding and stuff. I meditate. Take it for example. I'm away with myself doing the vacuuming. All of a sudden, I hear two little girls. Hi, Mum. The first time I heard it, I shot through the ceiling. Turned around, there's nobody there. My two kids are at school. But in between having my two children, I lost a set of twins. To me now, it's nice to know that my girls will come through.
Yeah.
And they know Mum's away with the pixie doing the hoovering. Come in, just say hello. My son now, he's here. Daddy's not well, son's here. Our eldest daughter tends to annoy my eldest living child. But it's nice. I know they're here. I know my parents are here. I know my grandparents when they drop in. It's rhyme and reason to things, but it's like you've said, doing this actually brings peace in my soul.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one thing before I sign off. A lot of people that know Suzanne and recognise the work that Suzanne does here in New Zealand, recently there's a little saying that's come apart now. It was my friend that actually did say this. Suzanne had finished on platform. We'd had a coffee. We'd gone in the healing room. Susan's having a chat with various members who at that time did not get a message, but Suzanne's now got one for them. As we got in the car and we were driving home, this voice turned and looked to me and she said, "Your friend Suzanne?" Yes. She doesn't work with spirit. She walks with spirit. Now, to me, that is the highest compliment you can actually pay somebody.
Yes.
And I've been saying to you this ever since, because we, as bystanders, we can actually see this. And there are a few amongst the development group that I'm in and a few of the friends that I've worked with that have done this. There's a few of you can actually put your hand on your heart and say, works with spirit, walks with spirit. There's a difference.
I love what I'm doing. I love who I am now. And it is because of spirit, because it's like the good thing about being on your spiritual path, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake because it's all part of learning. The trick is, do I want to keep repeating it or do I want to jump off that roundabout and go, yeah, I've learned that, don't need to learn it again.
We're continuously learning.
And that's what I like. And it's like the one thing I will say, even on the spiritual journey, is it's like just when I think I've kind of got it down there,
now the wallet's
I've suddenly realised, damn, I just finished the first page of a never-ending novel.
Yeah.
And the amount of mediums that I've spoken to that have felt the same way, where they've gone, yeah, I think I've kind of got a handle on healing now. And then someone will come along and go, yeah, no, I'm just learning how to do a bit of healing. And it's like, that's what I love. You know, it's even like with the animal communication. That's what I love about connecting with animals and talking to the different animals. And that was one of the things I learned was, and it's all come from connecting with spirit. So it's not things I haven't picked up somebody's book and I've read it and gone, oh, this is fact. I've always asked spirit before I've read any spiritual book, because it just works better for me. And I found it was like, that's how I found out that, and for me, you could speak to someone else that does animal communication, they're going, oh, no. Like I said earlier, to me, there's no right and there's no wrong. It just is. You can't, that's all it is. It just is. And so
we all have our own methods of learning and moving from, and our own methods of teaching.
Yeah.
It is a personal journey. You've helped me. You've taught me many things.
But so you've taught me as well. I mean, I think that's the advantage, is
we're there for each other.
Yeah,
we're there to help each other, encourage each other to develop and grow and to move forward.
And I think it's that, you know, when we might be talking about something, and it's like, you're not telling me, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. You're saying, this is how this was for me. And we sit there and talk about, go, yeah, actually, yeah. Or we go, oh, no, that doesn't work. No, that's not for me. But
then when you've told me your way of doing stuff, there's something that I can take from that conversation where it's, oh, I'll give that a go next time. And yeah, it's resonated, it's gelled, and it's enabled me to move on just that little bit further, where I can get back on the phone and say, yeah, I tried it your way, bloody hell, the difference it's made. Yeah. But it's helping each other, to enable each other to move on, to grow, to learn, to
and trust. Support.
Yeah. And support is a big thing, but it's having the right support, having people that can listen. And like Suzanne said, it's not the fact that I've done this, I've done that, right, I am now a teacher. You have to, if you decide to go down that line, you have to also accept the knowledge that maybe a pupil has that is a little bit higher than yours. And if it is, don't put that person down. No, you are learning, we are each learning from each other.
Well, that's the thing too, is it's like, and I mean, I learned this, and this isn't even a spiritual thing, you know. I learned this as a young kid, working part-time in the dairy when I was in high school.
You better explain what a dairy is. Because to us, a dairy is where you have your cows go to be milked.
Oh, it's a corner store that sells milk, bread, lollies, newspaper. What do you call that? Dairy?
No, it's in England, it's a Spar shop. In America, it's a 7-Eleven.
It's a shop where you can buy all kinds of crap, but it's not a supermarket.
And when she says lollies, she means sweets. Not lollies on a stick. It's boiled sweets.
Sweeties, yeah.
Terminology is rather different in this country, as I've learnt to my expenditure.
And the thing is, if all else fails, Google it.
We're good at Googling.
Yeah, I'm an expert at it. But I mean, that's the thing, is like, I learned, even like I said, back when I was working in the dairy or the corner shop, every single person that we meet in our life teaches us something, and we teach them something. We might not even be consciously aware of it, but we learn something, you know. It's like, you learn as a young kid, you know, if you take some time and talk to that elderly lady that's sitting at the bus stop, you'll learn something. You know, if you're feeling a bit down and you go and talk to that little kid, that little child that's sitting there, they uplift you, because or you take them somewhere that you've been a million times, and they point out something you've never even noticed before, and suddenly the world is beautiful again. And so, even with like me, it's like probably the only frustrating thing I've had on my spiritual journey is when people think that everyone's at different levels. No, we're not. For me, it's like they're just not ready to trust yet.
Yeah.
And that's why, like I said, that's why it frustrated me with some of the spiritual centers, where they would go, unless you've been to you know, a learner's circle, and you've done that for months and months and months and years and years and years, until you kind of just about, you're not even a fledgling. Exactly. You know, whereas for me personally, I don't think it's, I mean, I've had clients come to me for readings, and the first thing I want to say to them is, hey, come with me onto platform. And even no training at all. It's like, come with me and sit in the chair next to me. And if you've got a message for someone, great. If you haven't, it's cool. Because and I've done that with other people where they've come on platform, and then afterwards they've gone, actually, it's not for me. And that's okay too.
It is scary.
Terrifying.
You sat there in your little chair and you're looking out and
You're
at the
panicking.
least you've got 30 people.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it's your turn.
I know, and it's like, oh my God, oh my God.
It's the kick to the gut, and is something going to come through? Please, something. And then all of a sudden you open your mouth and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you thanks for it, and then it's blah, 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 blah. As it comes out, it's how we are when we meet in our communities and we're passing the messages on to each other.
Yeah.
It's having, and as Julian says, it's having trust in yourself, surrender and trust in spirit. And they don't come through and lie to you, because they can't, because they're coming from a place of love.
And there's no hidden agenda.
And so why should they? Well, I think it's time for us actually to wind down.
Thank you for listening.
I'd like to say thank you all for coming, listening, and taking part with Suzanne and I.
Wake up if you've gone to sleep. Because I probably would have.
So this is my friend Suzanne, who's absolutely brilliant. And
special.
If you have any questions for Suzanne, please post and comment, like and subscribe. And like I say, if you do want to ask Suzanne any question, please do fill it in the comments, and then I can pass them on to Suzanne. She can come back with her answers. And we'll move it forward from there. So from a coffee and a chat with my spiritual friends, from myself, Beverly, and from my best mate, Suzanne, I wish you all a good evening and a beautiful day. Namaste, friends.
Bye.